It's the Locked On Flyers podcast for Tuesday, December 24th. Your daily dose of Flyers news, analysis, and high quality content is kind of annoyed by Pittsburgh affiliated teams scoring 7 goals against Philadelphia teams.
Is it still too late for Festivus grievances?
You're Locked On Flyers, your daily podcast on the Philadelphia Flyers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, thanks for making Locked On Flyers your first listen every day. I am Rachel Donner. I've been podcasting about the Flyers, the NHL, and hockey for a decade. I'm here with prospect expert and Flyers credentialed reporter for 19 years, Russ Cohen. You can keep the season going with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet. You'll get started with $250 in bonus bets if you win that first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. To keep up with our latest episodes and Flyers news, you can find us at Locked On Flyers on all your favorite socials, including Blue Sky, and of course here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. This 7 goals thing is going to drive me crazy. We're going to talk more about it when we get to Phantoms Tuesday later in the show here. And related to that, of course, Olle Lycksell was sent back down to said Phantoms with Sean Couturier back, missing 1 game due to the birth of his new baby boy, Nash. So congratulations.
Yeah, congrats to the family.
That is really cool. He did get some dad strength with a goal in this loss to Pittsburgh, which is always nice to see. Just would have liked it to be in a win, Russ.
Yeah, I mean they got close, but that game, I don't know. It was a tale of two periods. Like the second period wasn't awful, but Sam Ersson wasn't good. We talked about Sam's drop and play. I would have played Kolosov to start the game. I didn't think Sam earned it after last game. We talked about that a couple episodes ago. He played. He wasn't great. They lost. I'm not blaming Kolosov for anything. And the Flyers defense still isn't great either. I mean, Nick Seeler's dropped off. There's guys that are just dropping off now on defense. And honestly, I mean, again, this is going to sound salty, but, you could easily bench Jamie Drysdale and bring, Emil Andrae back up and it would be better. But they can't do it. You know why? Because they have 3 goalies. That's why.
Yeah, let's go back to Sam Ersson and the goaltending, because 5 goals against on 14 shots on goal is not a pretty picture here. And I think that it's a little concerning, especially because we know that when they overplay Sam Ersson, things do not go well. And this was
Sure.
a case of overplaying him, especially when he was a little shaky in the last
Yeah.
game.
Yeah, I think that has something to do with it. I think it's a situation where he's just a little off, and now he's going to be a lot off going into the break. That's not great. So I think there's some ramifications with this one. And again, Pittsburgh doesn't know Kolosov. They don't know him from a hole in the wall. Might have been a different game.
Yeah, and I know that last minute or last second power play goal that Pittsburgh scored. I'm not going to put too much on Kolosov for that, but that
No.
was really like the only maybe questionable goal from
Yeah,
him, right?
I agree.
So I feel, and he made a couple big saves. So I think your point stands that it could have been a different game if Kolosov had started for sure.
But I mean, the Flyers' physicality wasn't there this game.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh was comfortable in this game. By comfortable, I mean when they went down the ice, they had great scoring chances, a lot of them.
Yeah, 17 scoring chances in this game. 7 of them wound up as goals. And what's crazy to me is that, well, amongst many things about this game, but what's initially crazy to me is that the Pens had twice the giveaways as the Flyers in this game. 16-8, and yet the Pens were able to translate more of the Flyers' mistakes and more of the Flyers' defensive weaknesses into goals.
Yeah. I think this game was also really unfortunate for Matvei Michkov because he got his minutes cut, and he comes in late in the game and it's a penalty. It's like, It just was a bad game, but it's been a string of bad games, 5 or 6 bad games. And he's not just going to work out of it. Like rookies don't just work out of it. You have to work with him to come out of it. It's not, so I hope that they do. And I hope that they put some emphasis on this because if he's not setting up plays or scoring, it hurts the team's offense. It just does.
It really does. It's just a huge difference. And of course, like special teams were a huge issue. I mean, again, Flyers didn't even get a power play in this game
No.
other than the 6 on 5.
But how did the PK do, Rachel? I ask, knowing the answer.
That was a big goose egg there, Russ.
Yeah.
Like all 3 Pens power plays ended up in the net. And that, I think, is part of the overall defensive struggles that the team had in this game, but also part of a bigger trend of the penalty kill not exactly working. And I may regret saying these words, but Eric Johnson's just sitting there and he's a PK guy.
You are desperate. You have reached that level of
That
desperation.
is, I know. And there's no good reason to put Eric Johnson in this game at all, right?
Yeah, they'll
Except
probably
for
do
the
it on the
fact-
West Coast, though. They will. I could see him doing
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, just for the penalty kill alone, to something to stabilize that aspect of the
Yeah.
Flyers game. And that's the only desperation move they have. And that's why I mention it.
I mean,
Not
I could
because
see sitting Drysdale and putting in Johnson for a game. I could.
Yeah.
If
I
you
mean, it's
said
been a while.
a Torts move would be to sit Drysdale against the Ducks, right? That would be a Torts
Right.
move.
Oh my God, yes, it would.
So it wouldn't shock me.
Yeah. Yeah. I think oh no, I'm having nightmares about it already. Thank you for putting that into my brain. But yeah, I just really feel like he's going to want some sort of veteran leadership, dependable penalty kill like scenario, and that's the only one they got
Right.
in the deck. Right.
Yeah, it's just there's a lot of unfortunate things in that game, and I do think that the coaching leading up to it didn't help. Coaching decisions, things that, aren't happening on the ice. Like it's just, even when he was saying like, well, Mitchkov hasn't been great on the power play. It's like, yeah, Mitchkov's the problem on the power play, right? Right, that's the problem. Not Rocky Thompson, not anything else, but it's Mitchkov. Sure. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think that's the way that you turn.
I
Mitchkov's
know,
game
but it's just, but he
around.
did say he's not good on the power play lately. But then my answer is, John, nobody is.
That's true. That is 100% true.
And the 6 on 5, it's like they never do it. It's like they never
Well,
practice
they
it.
do.
They never do it.
They have.
I know they do, but the point is, it's like, look, we could blame Drysdale for that great play by Crosby, but nobody came out with puck support either. So he got desperate to try and make that play just to get the puck in the zone. But like there was nobody
Yeah.
really helping him either.
No.
It's like, do you want to score a goal? Do you want to, or not score a goal? Like it's just, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it is also crazy to me in a lot of ways that the Flyers actually did score 3 goals in this game, and still it feels like they were blown out
I know,
in this
right?
game.
It's
Right?
funny.
Because three goals isn't bad. It's
No.
not what they needed to win, but
But-
it's not bad either.
I'm going to default to something I defaulted on a couple of shows ago. Rachel, I have the stat. 3.00 goals per game, goals for, 3.31 given up.
Yep. That's this team right now. And it is, there has to be some sort of defensive reckoning here because
Yes.
Torch is known for his defensive systems, right?
Right.
It's a offense comes from defensive play first kind of structure that's heavily based on shot blocking and shot suppression. None of that is happening right now, right? To any effective degree. And is it they can't execute right now? They can't physically execute, they can't mentally execute on it. Like where is the disconnect here between what they were able to do defensively last season to this season?
It's a good question.
It's a big difference.
It's a big difference, and they have a healthy Ristolainen, so you would think that would help. Look, I mean, I'll just come out and say it. they'd be better defensively without Drysdale right now. But they're trying to prove a point with Jamie Drysdale and get him on track. So that's going to be like a whole season reclamation project, and there's going to be a light shown on it when they go to Anaheim. There's
Yeah.
going to be, because that's the trade's going to get talked about a lot.
I know. We talked about this a little bit last year, like at the tail end of the season, but they really do miss Walker on the blue line.
Oh, they
I
do,
mean,
no question.
that was a huge, huge
But
change
they
that made
still
a
have
big
enough
difference.
guys that it really shouldn't be this debilitating. Are we going to go
Well,
default
yes,
back
that
to
is
Matt
also
Niskanen?
true.
They still miss Matt
No.
Niskanen, Rachel. They do. They could call Matt Niskanen tomorrow and get him back in
Right.
line. I'm kidding, obviously.
I know, but I'm just trying to see, what's the big difference between last year and this year, and that is the difference right
Sure.
now, in that Walker was more effective than
Mhm.
the addition of Ristolainen, for sure, right
Okay.
now.
I agree with that.
But yeah, I do wanna touch on one positive thing, and that's the Cates line.
Yep.
Again, they played very well. Brink was fantastic on the
Yep.
play leading up to that goal. Torts complimented his play, and
He
I don't
did.
wanna discount Cates's 4 goals in 4 games. I
No,
think
no, no.
it's
He's been really
important.
hot. He's been really good,
Yeah,
consistent. I mean, it's just again, they don't have enough guys staying hot at the same time. They
yeah,
went,
that's
and
true.
that's offensively. They just don't. Defensively,
Yeah.
they could pull it together like second period. They only gave up a few shots, but when you give up one of those as a goal, it's a killer. That's a momentum killer. So it's like, you know, those were the problems that plagued them in this one.
All right. Well, we have a few days off for the Christmas holiday before the aforementioned Ducks game. In the meantime, we have a few games from the Lehigh Valley Phantoms to discuss, also involving 7 goals multiple times. And we're going to get into their week coming up next. Today's episode is sponsored by PrizePicks. If you love sports, you're going to love PrizePicks. It's the best place to turn your sports knowledge into real money, whether it's hockey, football, or any other of your favorite sports. PrizePicks makes it easy to get in on the action. You can now win up to 1,000 times your money on PrizePicks. Plus, this holiday season, they're giving away $30+ million in rewards during Picksmas and offering 2 free picks in December. And when your picks hit, PrizePicks makes it easy to cash out. You can get your money in as fast as 15 minutes. PrizePicks also offers fun weekly promotions like Taco Tuesday, where select player projections are discounted up to 25%. So download the app today and use the code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly after you play that first $5 lineup. That's right, $50 instantly. PrizePicks, run your game. On tomorrow's show, which will serve as the Christmas/Boxing Day episode for y'all, we're going to preview World Juniors, which do in fact start on the 26th. And we're excited to talk about that and goals for our Flyers prospects who are involved in that tournament. Plus, we're going to answer your mailbag questions. So get those in via email at lockedonflyers@gmail. You can send us a message on any of our socials at lockedonflyers, or you can comment on our YouTube channel. All right, Russ, this week was a doozy
It
for the
was.
Lehigh Valley Phantoms. 2 wins, 1 in overtime, and a loss. So it seems on its face to be a solid, if not great weekend, right? And I would say that the Wednesday overtime win against Providence was a really good come from behind win. And I think that that set them on a good path for the week. Then they play the Toronto Marlies, who they just lost to by a significant margin, tighten things up, turn it around, win decisively 7-2, right?
Yeah.
Great game, really disciplined, lots to talk about there. And then Saturday happened.
Which is the one everybody saw, the highlights.
Right. So the thing about Saturday's game, and we're going to get to, Emil Andrae and other players and, some other details about the weekend, but I feel like we have to start with talking about Saturday's game because
Mhm.
given that the Phantoms happened to win a game 7-2, literally the day before on Friday. And it was a very, like, obviously average sort of game in terms of there was no discipline problems.
Right.
Like, Toronto didn't go crazy. The Phantoms didn't get too loose and commit penalties. It just went and they finished the
Hmm.
game, right? This is not how it went on Saturday. So the Phantoms are down like 5-1 at a certain point, and just the third period, things went out of control. So in that game, there were 132 penalty minutes in that game. There were 7 total game misconducts there, 4 of which were the Lehigh Valley Phantoms. So we had Garrett Wilson, Louis Belpedio, Hunter McDonald, and Zayd Wisdom all got tossed from that game. And both coaches got
Right.
ejected from that game. And I have issue with what Lappy did, I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
Because
Go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah, so basically the situation was that it was either 6-2 or 7-2 at that point. I don't remember exactly, but there was a power play. I believe it was Emil Andrae who committed this penalty. He like high sticks somebody, and it really wasn't that great, by the way. Emil did not look good for you. But the Wilkes-Barre Scranton coach, Kirk McDonald, put out their top power play unit. Lappy was not happy about that and said he disrespected the game and got on top of the bench a la Lavi back in the day and started screaming at him. And I was like, how are you supposed to like encourage your team to be disciplined if you can't
Right.
let stuff like that go? That was my problem.
Right. Look, that's old school thinking. I'm sorry. We're in an era now where, you know, social media tries to get the leg up from one team to another. Uh, so they ride them in games like this. Yeah, sometimes they run up the score. You know what? The answer for a team running up the score is not that. That's not the answer. The answer is just
Did the
beat them
Marlies
next
do that the
time.
day before? No.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's like, if they want to put out their top power play, that's up to them. If you don't want them to score, then stop them from scoring.
Also, to be fair to McDonald, like, 2 of their second unit power play players had already been booted from the game, so what
Yeah, I
unit
mean,
were
so
they
what else is he
supposed to put
supposed to
out?
do? Yeah, the whole thing was, and then I saw, you know, some of the verbiage on the bench, and I felt like Leperrier was just way too over the top. And
Yeah,
obviously he was frustrated. So
yeah,
does that cure things for the season? Is this now going to be a banger of a season? Because no, they've got problems. They
yeah.
and the problem in with this one is what you had said to me, off air was that, it could have been a really good weekend, and this puts no offense, a black eye on it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, because, like, from leadership at the top, if you're not gonna promote a disciplined kind of game,
Yeah,
right? How do you expect your players to behave that way? And I understand it's the AHL and there are going to be fights. So if there was one fight in this game, even two with like one ejection because of it, okay. Like I would not have batted an eye because that is the AHL, happens pretty frequently.
a lot.
To have 7 players tossed from this game in total and 4 from your team alone, like that just says that there's a lack of discipline, and
Yeah,
I cannot abide by that, and the other thing is that not only did Lappy get tossed from the game himself, he left Parker Gahagan in for that entire game, and I
yeah,
understand that Cal Peterson had played the entire game the night before, right? But for the 3rd period, my god, like, yank Gahagan out
yeah,
of there, like, put him out
yeah.
of
You
his
already have a
misery, right?
like a tough goalie situation to begin with, and this doesn't help it. He kind of was like, "Yeah, I'm just leaving him in. I don't care." And it's like, again, um, no offense to Cal Peterson, but he's not going to be around next year. Gahagan's been your guy in the organization for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Peterson's, he's going to go elsewhere. And so, it's not great.
It really isn't. So, that really did, like, tarnish what had been a good
Yeah.
week thus far because honestly, that win over the Marlies, who are a very, very good team,
Yeah, no, that's a good win.
like really good win. Providence, also a very good team, especially as of late.
Yeah.
They have been playing extremely well. So I do want to give the guys credit for those two
Yeah,
wins.
absolutely, they get credit for that. But
Yeah.
like you said,
Ar-
leadership starts from, the coach down, and yeah,
yeah.
that's it.
Yeah. So let's get into Emil Andre's play because that's obviously one of the most important things other than the team overall for
Mhm,
the week. And so he played Friday and Saturday. I would say, 0 points in 2 games. He had that really questionable penalty
mhm.
in the game on Saturday. Again, everybody was frustrated, so maybe he just got caught up in it too. But and I'm glad, he has the holiday break now to kind of chill and maybe figure out what he's doing there and what he has to accomplish. But yeah, he was a +1 on Friday, a -3 on Saturday. Definitely made a mistake that led to a goal, one of the 7 goals on Saturday, and I think he's a little discombobulated for sure,
Yeah, I
and so I
mean,
wanna give him a little bit of
we have to give him,
leeway here.
like, a few weeks. He's blindsided, like,
Yeah.
he's a human being, he's blindsided. He thought he was playing well enough in the NHL, and his coach told him he wasn't. It's hard to rebound from that immediately. It's gonna take a little time.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And so I do like, we'll see what happens in terms of how long he's down with Lehigh Valley and if it's really just purely based on his play that'll get him back up or it'll be
I mean,
circumstantial.
he's not gonna be on the road trip,
But
we know that, so
we do. We do. So yeah, it'll be mid-January, probably at the earliest that he
yeah.
would come back and that'll give
Although
him
the
a few
coach
games to
although
get
to be
there.
fair, if the NHL coach keeps complaining that he doesn't have a power play quarterback, maybe it'll speed it up because he's a power play quarterback, but I'm just saying.
Yeah. Which is the area of his game that he stood out the most in. Still
Of
didn't get any
course.
points on the board related to it, but he was aggressive. He
Mhm.
was
He
absolutely
made it better,
managing the
and
puck.
it's clearly not better
Mhm.
without him.
Right. Right. So, I think you look at the power play for the weekend, they were 3 for 11, 6th in the AHL. They moved up a couple spots from where they were last week. And you can't discount Andre's effect on that,
No, you can't.
especially because they were 2 for 5 against
Yeah.
Toronto there. And again, even though that he didn't get a point technically, he was still part of it. So there is that. The penalty kill, on the other hand, was real bad, especially on Saturday against Wilkes-Barre Scranton. They're way down now, 22nd in the AHL on the penalty kill. That's something they do have to work on
Yep.
there. But we got a couple of first goals of the season, one of which I think is much more important than the other, and some interesting goings on with the other top prospects in Lehigh Valley. We're going to talk about them coming up next.
The NFL playoffs are almost here, but it's not too late to get in on the regular season action with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Because right now, new customers can finish the season strong with $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. FanDuel has so many ways for you to pick up a W. Not only can you bet on who will win the football game, but FanDuel also has bets for which players will score a touchdown, how many points each team will score, and so much more. For NHL picks, there are so many options like first goal scored, player shots on goal thresholds, over under on total goals, and more. I still say take the Kansas City Chiefs on Christmas Day. Just visit fanduel.com to join today. That's fanduel.com for your chance at $250 in bonus bets. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
All right. So I mentioned some first goals of the season, and I am so thrilled that Massimo Rizzo got on the board
Me too. I'm
finally.
happy for him.
Yeah, it's been a little bit overdue, but I feel like it's going to get him going a little bit here because he not only scored 1 goal, but he scored 2 over the week. He had one on Wednesday in their win against Providence and was one of the 2 in the 7-2 loss to Wilkes-Barre Scranton. And I think, that is a really important thing for his development to maybe,
Yeah,
like I said,
gotta
jumpstart him.
get on track now. Yeah,
Yeah. So, and then the other one was Brendan Furry, who it was kind of a surprise to me. I hadn't realized he hadn't scored a goal yet, but he
yeah.
did. He was the other goal in the 7-2 loss, and it was
Okay.
a shorty. So I got to give him credit for that one. Maybe that'll get him going offensively too. And he's a good support piece.
Hmm.
He's younger. And so to have a guy like that to be an AHL level kind of support piece for your prospects, like you need him going in order to, keep other guys around him going as
Yeah, no
well.
question.
So
I
it was
expect a little
important.
something out of him, so that's good.
Yeah, it's because he tends to show well at camp
Yeah,
and then just kinda does his thing at the AHL level, and it's not good enough for an
yeah.
NHL thing,
Right,
but,
right.
he always shows out when he needs to as
He
far as
does.
the, in front of the Flyers people go. Talking about the other players there, obviously, Olle Lycksell, uh, did not stick with the Flyers, and unfortunately, we
Yeah.
didn't know that at the time of recording our show yesterday, but real bummer because, he had had the game-winning goal against Providence in OT. It was his 3rd OT winner of the
At least that
season.
one didn't get taken off the board, so that's good.
Yeah, yeah, it was tied for the fastest OT winner in team history at
Okay.
14 seconds into overtime. He's tied for the most OT
Who
winners
had the
by
record, do we know?
no, I don't.
I'm gonna guess
I don't.
Jason Akison. I don't know that for sure, but that's who I'm guessing. Go
That's
ahead.
a good pull. I love that. Um, man. Anyway, that's a flashback name there. Yeah, and then he got the hat trick on Friday, and then he had the call up, had a really solid game with the Flyers. So he's in theory back with the Phantoms now, but they're on their holiday break. So we'll see where he ends up, if he ends up going out for part of the road trip or not. But for the Flyers, but in the meantime, he can hopefully continue to produce for the Phantoms. Samu Tuamala, we got to talk about him again, Russ,
Okay.
because he had 2 assists on Friday, very active. He hit the post at least once, but no goals in 10 games in a row now.
Yeah, it's a problem. He's not gonna get a call up, and he's gonna fall down in the prospect list for sure. Like, that's happening already. Uh, you know, people were thinking probably by now he would have gotten a taste of the NHL, and
Mhm.
Lixell got the call up again before him. If that doesn't piss him off and get him to play better, then there's a problem there.
Yeah. Yeah, there really is. And again, this is the development side of things where
Yes.
we worry about the Phantoms a little bit, and he's a prime example of part of the issues that we talk about when we talk about player development and the AHL's role in that. Jacob Gaucher had another solid week. Obviously, everybody kind of tanked it on Saturday, but he had a goal on Wednesday and a goal and 3 assists in that win over the Marlies. Real solid, I think, in those 2 games. Alexei Gendron kind of came out of the dark a little bit in that game as well, a goal
Okay.
and 2 assists. So that was very good to see as well. But I think, you know, there's a lot of guys that are just kind of floating right
Yeah.
now. J.R. Avon continues to. I think Ethan Sampson really could be doing more this season and isn't.
Yeah, I have
And
some expectations for him for sure.
yeah, that's a shame. Rodrigo Abel's a goal on Friday, but isn't really standing out. I would say,
Yeah.
as much. Helge Grants, I think, is just doing his thing.
He
I
could get
think
called up again at some point.
he could. So he had an assist on the game-winning goal on Wednesday and had an assist on Friday, but I think played generally pretty well over the course of the weekend. And, he had like one of the earlier penalties in the game against Wilkes-Barre Scranton, but it wasn't like he just had a hook and he's a
You mean when it was
defenseman.
still a game? Yeah.
Yeah. So like he just had a regular defenseman penalty. He didn't get involved in any of
Okay.
the other nonsense that happened in the rest of the game.
Shenanigans. Yeah.
Shenanigans is a good word. It's an excellent word there. So I just worry about some of the guys.
Yeah, they definitely could be doing better. You know, teams in sixth place, they could be doing better. The goaltending situation is the goaltending situation. They're lucky to have a guy like Andre back, but again, he's going to have to get his head on straight. So, yeah, they're a little askew right now. Still, even after some wins.
Yeah, it's a little troublesome, but of course, like I said, the Phantoms are also on their Christmas holiday break right now, and they've got 2 games coming up this weekend. Friday the 27th, they are facing Wilkes-Barre Scranton again.
Oh
So,
no.
yeah.
I can hear him saying it
So,
now.
oh
Fandom.
no. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
see. That could get
So
ugly.
also on the road. So it could get pretty ugly.
It
And
could.
then they're starting a run of a couple of games with a few days apart, hosting Charlotte, who are usually a pretty good
Yeah, they're
team
usually
as
good.
well. So, you know,
No gimmies
they have
here.
none, none whatsoever. It's going to be, I think, a rough restart after the holiday break.
Big boy hockey.
Hopefully, yep, yep. So I think there's going to be a lot of expectations moving forward this season, at least from us, because I think
Right.
there
We
should
have
be.
them. Whether anybody else does, who knows?
Yeah. So that will do it for today's show. Thanks so much for listening. Again, we will be back tomorrow to preview the World Junior Tournament, and we will have our mailbag segment. So make sure to send us those questions via any of our socials at Locked On Flyers. You can email us at lockedonflyers@gmail or comment on our YouTube channel. I'm Rachel. I'm on Blue Sky and Twitter at rmiriam. That's RMIRIAM.
I'm Russ. I'm at Sportsology on those same socials. SPORTSOLOGY.
Thanks for making Locked On Flyers your first listen today. For your next listen, find Locked On Fantasy Hockey. Become a fantasy hockey expert. Get the edge over your league mates with daily tips from Steal and Flip. Find Locked On Fantasy Hockey on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Have a great day, everyone.